Hey John, I tried setting I'm over here on the dev site first of all. I tried setting the outgoing server to SiteGround and it won't work. I just can't get it to work. It doesn't authenticate and I can't help but believe it has to do with the MX records pointing to Office and the DKIM and SPIF and all that being Office. And it's well beyond my knowledge, but it won't work. I've tried everything I can think of and it just won't work. So instead, over here again on the dev site, I installed that other plugin I showed you in an earlier video that's specifically there to work with Microsoft 365. So I set it up. I have it sending from lead. It authorizes and it does send. So it does work and it's sending it out. When it arrives, it is from lead. So it didn't fix that problem and I guess we didn't really expect it to. But the other thing I hope would fix it, and I'm going to put this back, is over inside the Microsoft 365, I changed the name of lead to seniorlivingguide.com, hoping that would be the name it used when it sent from, but it didn't. It still just used lead. So that was no joy. Another possibility is this one down here was named seniorlivingguide.com. I've changed it temporarily so this one can be used. But this one is Senior Living Guide at, now it does have a space, a comma in there, but what if we used an email address instead of lead that was just seniorlivingguide at seniorlivingguide.com, and therefore the from would be Senior Living Guide. I wonder if that would work. I don't know if we can have a dot up here in the email address or not. That's another possibility. But let me know if you want me to go down that path where we actually use a different email address rather than lead. I don't know that it has to be lead. And maybe that'll get us to have seniorlivingguide.com as the from, because it looks like it's only taking it from the part before the at and not from anything in the settings. So if we go here into the settings, manage contact information, you see I've got it as the first name, the display name, but nothing works. It still comes out as lead every time I do it. So let me know about that. A couple of things to be mentioned is this free version can only send an attachment up to 3 megabytes. And that was one of the reasons why we used the paid version over on the other site. In fact, it might have been the only reason, because I had to send bigger attachments. But also this is what says it can allow, let's go back over here, allow forms to override the from address. Same is a paid plugin feature. So we may be able to still get there if we go to the paid version of this plugin. And that would then mean we still use only Office 365, but we can get it override to the from. But we're not going to be able to know until we get the paid version of the plugin. Hey John, I realize this video is running on, but I went ahead and downloaded the paid version of the plugin from the other client site, Rolling Rock, and installed it over here. And surprisingly, it didn't need a license. So we're sort of test running it over here on the dev site, and if we do need it, then we'll have to go buy a real license. But it did load, it did come up, it did say allow forms to go from a different from address. So I enacted that, and it didn't work. But it didn't work for a known reason, and that is if we go here to the info tab, it goes down here and says the form may specify a mail address, but it has to be one that has delegated permissions, who owns, and da-da-da-da. So it has to be set up properly inside Microsoft 365. So I'm not sure that got us anywhere because it just lets us use another email address within Microsoft 365. There's no indication yet it will let us change the from name. It's just changing the from email. To override the from address. So I don't know that it'll change the name. I did some tests, it still came back lead. So I'm sort of back to where I was before. Can we create an email address inside Microsoft Office that is seniorlivingguide.com at or seniorlivingguide at, and that way we'll get the Senior Living Guide as the from and not lead, and just not have to worry about lead being that email address that does that thing. So I'm going to stand down on this. My head hurts, as I mentioned. So back to you. See what you think.